DNVR Bets Daily. RK, Professor Dre, a.k.a. the Math Magician, and we have a really, really fun show planned out for you guys today. Obviously, we'll go over last night's KBO bets, maybe even a little bit of tonight action for the KBO as we have looked into what might be on the slate tonight. Yeah. But not to not bury the lead here, we have an incredible interview coming with Curtis Blaydes, the number 3 ranked heavyweight fighter in the world for UFC. And he gave us some incredible insight when we recorded this interview just a little bit earlier. So really excited to share his insights. And Andre, I'll just tell you right now, I'm following whatever he says. That's my bets.
Yeah, probably pretty fair. He knows his stuff, and he knows the most important underdog in the biggest fight of all, and Justin Gaethje, and the fact that they hang out and train adjacent to each other here in Colorado. So yeah, I mean, just amazing to have a world-class guy like that, one of the best wrestlers in the entire heavyweight division, and ask him stuff like, how do you think Ferguson against Gaethje is going to go on the ground? It was just incredible. He brought the thunder. He had some great underdog picks. It was dreamy, man.
So we'll get to that in a second, but of course, the world wants to know why I'm wearing sunglasses tonight, and that is, of course, why, because I went 2-1 on my KBO picks yesterday, bringing me back to 500, and I feel really good at 5. You know, like, I'm not celebrating 500. I'm celebrating my 2-1 yesterday. I like to operate, day by day like that. Just take the world as it comes to me. But just a split 3-3 for you yesterday, sitting pretty at 7-5. The Professor, and good for you, man. You're holding us down here. If everyone's following every pick we've had so far, you've got us in the bonus.
Yeah, I suppose I'm kicking myself for. Going back to the well against and picking against the KT Wiz and taking that minus, 1.5, the 1.5 points for the Doosan Bears. That failed me because betting on all the overs gave me a 3-2 night. I should be sitting pretty here at
7-4.
7-4. Instead, the hubris of it all. I have yet to find a metric that tells me how many bets are too many bets, how many picks are too many picks. I pushed it just too far, and I had a 500 day. Should have been 3-2.
I got to admit that the Doosan pick was my most confident pick of the night. I was like, oh, this is easy money here, because they were rolling. They were 2-1. They had just put down 2 beatdowns on my Twins, and KT Wiz was just a joke leading up to that game, and then they just drop a 12-piece like it's nothing. So we know we should just be we don't know their names. We can just chart them on when their starts are. We're like, okay, Doosan, 4th starter, sucks.
That's
just
right.
Put these away. LG Twins, ace is exactly that, an ace. And we'll just base all of our takes off of that.
Yeah, I mean, slowly but surely, once that sample size widens, we'll be all good.
Okay, so quickly, obviously a huge UFC slate this weekend. Some concerning news that came out just minutes before we went live here, that one of the fighters scheduled to go, Ronaldo Souza, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, tested positive for coronavirus. Just, the news just came out just minutes ago. So obviously he will not be fighting. And we hadn't talked about that fight anyway, but you hope that they can find a way to make sure, and that they're being honest when they say he was separated from all the other fighters, everyone's safe, and you hope that they're able to move forward on this without putting anyone at any further risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so quickly, before we get into Curtis, because I'm riding with all of his bets, we didn't have this one available to us when we talked to him yesterday. So DraftKings, of course, the DraftKings Sportsbook, the presenting sponsors of this show, they are just saying like, hey, come bet on UFC. We'll give you $50 free, because they just put out a prop, and it is Gaethje and Ferguson to go over 11 seconds in the fight. Now, if you've never bet on UFC before, you should know that there is a chance, a slim chance, that this could go under. A very slim chance. I mean, I've seen the
Yes.
7-second fight before in my life.
Yes.
So, there's a little bit of pause there. It's not, I'm not going to call it a complete lock. Well, I'm not going to call it, no matter what, you have to take this bet, although I'm pretty much saying that. These guys might dance around for 4 seconds and you're almost halfway there. So the bet is over 11 seconds on the fight. And you can bet up to $50 on that, and it's plus 100, even money. Bet 50, win 50. So unless something crazy happens, the UFC just gave you a $50 boon to your budget for betting on UFC tomorrow night.
They're paying for your pay-per-view.
Oh my God. There it is.
Yeah. Going into this, we were thinking, what's a safe bet to pay for your pay-per-view, and what are some other fun bets you want to root for? This just paid for your pay-per-view. Now let's have some fun, because DraftKings is literally paying for you to watch this pay-per-view fight.
That's incredible. Yeah. Hadn't thought of it that way. That's a great way to think of it. Free fight. You're in. Fight. You're back to ground zero before you even start betting. Yeah. Okay. Speaking of getting in on these fights, we have an awesome interview, like we said, with Curtis Blaydes here. So why don't we take the interview with Curtis Blaydes, see what he has to say, and we really, really appreciate him for his time. Let's hear from Curtis, a DNVR guy. There's no sound. Looks like we're having a little bit of technical issue with the sound there. So we'll
get Curtis on
before we roll Curtis. But for right now, it looks like we do have it. And we are excited there we go.
to
bring in the number 3 heavyweight contender in the world, the future of the heavyweight division of UFC, Curtis Blaydes. Curtis, we're stoked to have you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on your show.
Hey, so we know you hang out a lot in Vegas. Do you like to get action on sports when you're out there?
No, I'm not really a gambler, dude. I usually just go out there to watch the fights. I enjoy watching them live.
Are you? What is it that you like about just going to watch the fights live?
It's experience, being able to watch it and see all the movements without hearing the commentary, because sometimes that can be distracting and they can persuade you which way to lean, just to watch them.
That's awesome. Now, we were hearing you train at Elevation with Justin Gaethje, right?
Yeah.
What have you been doing training-wise? Are you guys still at that gym working together and stuff?
No, he has his own gym. He and his coach, they own Onyx.
Oh, yeah.
That's where they make the gloves at. And
yeah,
he also happens to have a training room in there, wrestling mats, bags. It's not a very big gym, but it's only been him and small groups of guys. I haven't been working out with Gaethje. We've hung out. I haven't been working out because I'm not a lightweight and I can't really help him.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think of his chances? Obviously, he's the underdog in this fight. What do you think? How do you think he's going to do?
I think it's honestly 50-50. You can't honestly say either guy has a huge advantage over the other. If Gaethje's a Division I wrestler, he's got, and I've seen his defensive wrestling. He doesn't use his offensive wrestling very much, but it's not his game. But his defensive wrestling is excellent. He's got heavy hands. He's got great footwork, and he's got a great jaw. And then you got Tony. He also has a great jaw. He's very unorthodox. He's really funky on the grounds, and he's always tossing up elbows and everything. So he's got his own game also. It's just who's going to be able to implement their style better, and who can take more more punishment because they're both going to get hit. We know that it's going to be bloody. It's just who has a higher pain threshold.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think the pace of this is just going to be insane. These are two guys who just like don't hold back. They set the tone and they keep coming relentlessly. And it's going to be really interesting who's able to dictate the pace and who's able to kind of control the pace. Because I think of the way both these guys handled Edson Barbosa, another guy who comes at you constantly. 24 seconds in, Tony took him to the ground. And what you said about Gaethje's defensive wrestling, I think that's going to play a huge part. We haven't really seen him wrestle, even though he's an all-conference wrestler. How he handles, Ferguson, who, as you said, is funky as hell on the ground, is going to be really interesting. But Gaethje against Barbosa, he took him against the fence, slowed him down that way. And the other thing, the Gaethje weapon to really slow momentum down are those leg kicks, which I don't know if Ferguson's been attacked like that because that could slow him down from keeping the pace for 5 rounds.
Most definitely. I know that's always a part of Gaethje's game plan. Whenever I watch him spar, he's always tossing those inside, outside, little chippy leg kicks. And there's not much of a wind-up, but he likes to end a lot of his combos with that leg kick. Even if it doesn't always land, the threat's always there. You guys start to worry about it. And maybe Ferguson, he goes to catch it and then he fakes it into the Superman punch or something like that. There's a million ways this could go because they both got all the striking in the world. So it's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
Obviously, UFC is going to be the main sporting event that people are paying attention to this weekend with so little sports out there right now. For people who are just getting into this, might be just watching their first UFC fight this weekend, what do you think they should be watching for? What's something that you're excited about this fight from an entertainment perspective?
Well, I don't know if I'm exactly excited for it, but I am interested to see how all these high-profile fighters are going to be able to perform without having the crowd there. Because I know me personally, I wouldn't say I need to have them there, but I do feed off the energy, like the boos or the applause. Either way, I do feed off of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how guys react to just not empty, but a very, very almost empty crowd room. Like it's going to be weird. Yeah. You're going to be able to hear every point of contact, every slam, and maybe that affects the judging differently because they're able to hear everything. I don't know. It'll be interesting though.
Yeah, definitely. So do you see this going the distance, or you think someone's getting a submission or a KO? Okay.
No, it's not going the distance.
Yeah. That's for sure. That's a minus 530. So Vegas definitely agrees with you.
Well, I don't like to gamble, but I put down $100 on that. If it did happen, that would be like the fight of the year.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. And also, does Gaethje have enough? I mean, because this fight was kind of established late. Could he go 5 rounds, do you think?
He's always ready. He's not one of those guys who, after a fight, they don't go back in the gym for 2 months. He loves it. I don't love the fight. I enjoy it because it's a good way to make a living. But he loves this. He's in the gym all the time. His conditioning is A1. And that's another factor. We are in elevation.
Yeah.
The fight's going to be in Jacksonville. I don't think conditioning is going to be an issue for Gaethje. I kind of hope that I get to fight down in Jacksonville because I live here also.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds like you kind of like that plus 150 for Gaethje here in the upset. If it's a coin toss, might as well take the better odds.
I'll take Gaethje every time.
Beautiful. It's going to be the fight of the year. I can't wait. I'm so excited for this fight. These two guys, what a great, way to advertise UFC while nothing else is going on.
Yeah, that's a good main event.
Obviously, obviously here in Denver, and I'm sure you do, and everyone, pays close attention to football. We've got Greg Hardy on the card this weekend.
Mm.
I'm curious what you think of him as a fighter.
As a fighter, initially I didn't think he was that good at all, to be honest, because a lot of the guys they were giving him weren't that good either. And
Right.
he didn't look extremely impressive beating him. But then when he beat my buddy Juan Adams, I think that was like last October-ish, around there. He beat him, and that was a pretty bad loss for Juan. And then he moves on. He jumped in there with Volkov.
Yeah.
I'm about to go fight. And I was honest. I don't know if I was impressed by Hardy or I was just disappointed in Volkov for not being able to put him away, because Hardy broke his hand early in like the second round, and then from there on out, he's basically a one-handed guy who doesn't have a whole lot of experience. You would expect a guy like Volkov to be able to put him away. So they either A, Volkov isn't as talented as I was previously led to believe, or B, Hardy is a lot more talented than we all initially believed. So I'm hoping after this weekend I have a better idea of which one that was in that fight.
Yeah. Do you think he's kind of overrated as an athlete? Because everyone says he's a great athlete. Obviously, he's an NFL talent, great athlete. But shoot, I think you could get a couple QB pressures if that's all you work towards with your feet and hands. So, there are other great heavyweight athletes.
I think he's a great athlete, but you have to be a great athlete. Like you just have to make it into the NFL and then to jump over into the UFC at later age. He's a great athlete. He's got the height, he's got the weight, he's got the measurables. But the difference in being an athlete and being athletic in that certain sport. I'm an athlete, but you put me out there with a bunch of guys playing baseball, I won't look very athletic, or just a lot of different sports. I won't look athletic. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge of how to implement my athleticism within the rules of the game.
Right.
I don't think he knows how to balance his feet, how to bounce, how to switch, I don't think he knows how exactly, and that's to be expected. He's very early on in his career. I've just now in the last 2 years gained like a greater and greater knowledge of all that stuff. So I don't expect him to have it. But yeah, I don't believe he knows how to use his athleticism within the cage.
That's interesting. And there's the Castro fight. I've got a bit of a betting theory that, especially with the heavyweights, you could even hedge it a little, but why not go after the underdogs? As our boss, Brandon Spano, who worked in boxing for a while, says, those guys are so big, but the cranium's the same size for everyone. So at a certain point, it's just hard to take certain hits to the head.
Honestly, I could see Hardy. I think he loses. I think this guy, DeCastro, I think he's got a better knowledge of how to use his skills. I think Hardy's the more athletic guy, but I don't think he has the striking knowledge yet to really take advantage of that.
And the Castro's a deceptive athlete too, even though he's a bit of a bigger guy. I love this.
Those are the ones that get you. Those are the ones that get you. The ones who don't look athletic. I made that mistake a few times in high school. It's heavyweight. You get a lot of guys who are sloppy.
Right.
A couple of those sloppy guys were kind of slick.
I mean, look at, you're in Denver. Look at Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Boom. He looks, and that probably happens to him a lot. Guys are playing him like, oh, he's not going to do, and then he starts getting off on you. Like, how do you end up with 22, 8, and 8?
Right. Yep.
On an off day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I love that. I love that Curtis has given us the underdog.
Let's go, man. Yeah, I'm jacked. That's another one though. That's not going the distance, right, Curtis?
No, I highly doubt that.
Yeah. I mean, we're with you. Okay. Where do you want to go next, Ryan? The co-main event?
Yeah,
guys?
Yeah, let's touch on that.
This is a weird one, Curtis. Henry Cejudo, gold medalist. wrestler and a champion in 2 divisions, against Dominic Cruz, who's been out of the sport. His last fight was a loss in a title fight for the bantamweight in 2016. We haven't seen him in 4 years now. Cruz is a great matador, great defensive fighter, and Cejudo's just this world-class wrestler with a huge heart, great chin, and really deceptive striking ability. He can ground and pound you for days. He's kind of like a mini Curtis over here. How do you just see this? Do you have any insights on Cruz? Because we haven't seen him in 4 years, so I don't know what to expect.
No, I mean, the only thing I could add on to Cruz into your assessment of him is I don't really believe he beat TJ, even though it was TJ.
Yeah.
You know now that he was on that stuff.
Right.
When they fought, I thought TJ had beat him.
Yeah.
When Cruz came back after a layoff, then he came back and beat TJ. I don't think he won that one. So that's really all I can offer. I'm gonna go with Henry just because I do think grappling is gonna play into this. I do believe he's a better grappler. I believe he's a stronger guy. Also, I believe he'll be able to hold him down, and I think it'll be a decision. I think Cruz is really, really tough. Obviously, coming back from all the ACL injuries, we know that. I don't see him getting finished because Cody Garbrandt, he couldn't finish him either.
Right.
And I think he hits harder than Henry. So
yeah.
I think Cruz loses by decision, but it'll be like a dominant decision. I think he gets handily beat.
Right. Yeah, that no to go the distance at plus 131 has me intrigued, but you're right. Cruz is just such a good defensive guy. It's hard to see this not going to full 5. All right, no upsets there, but that's okay. We're good. Maybe in the Francis Ngannou, Jairzinho Rosenstrike.
I would love for that to be upset.
You're right. Right. I was gonna ask, are you personally invested in this? Are you rooting for Rosenstrike hard because that opens up more of a potential title fight for you?
I mean, I'm not gonna say. Here's what I'll say. Did you guys, either of you guys watch Dragon Ball Z?
No.
Here and there.
No?
Limited though, yeah.
Well, I'm sending him all my energy right now. If I could send him my wrestling abilities, I would. Man, I would do that because I do want him to win. But do I see it really happen? I don't know. He's going against a lot of things because Ngannou's he's longer. He looks more explosive.
Yeah.
He looks faster. He's the more aggressive guy, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only way that Rosenstruck can pull it off is he got to be on the bicycle for that first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Be on that bicycle, jab and move, jab. Well, no, don't even jab because jabs will lead to the counter, right?
Right.
Don't jab, but you're gonna have to be on your bicycle throwing his kicks. And honestly, I don't know if he has the stability, but it would help him if he went southpaw.
Yeah.
He could circle away from the power, but I don't know if he has that in his repertoire.
Yeah.
But
right.
It would be a lot for him to win. I don't know how it happens.
Well, we'll definitely be pulling for him because we know you deserve that title fight. We want to see it too.
There's an over/under 1.5 rounds here. We taking the under? What do you think? Yeah.
I'll take the under.
That's a minus 125. That's not terrible.
No.
As far as favorites go.
What do you think of the other Colorado guy in here, Cowboy Cerrone?
Man, I don't know because you never know who's going to enter that cage when you're watching a cowboy. Are you going to get the aggressive, calm, and collected cowboy? Or are you going to get the hesitant, the other guy? Right,
the guy we've seen the last couple. Yeah.
Yeah, because I I still believe he has all the skills to win, but he doesn't always, pull the triggers. So that's up to him, and I don't know. So that's a hard one.
Well, what to make of Pettis? I mean, both these guys have kind of lost some big profile fights their last few, and we're seeing Cowboy up at welterweight here.
But
so
the thing with Pettis is I don't think he has any performance issues. I don't think he's used to always being under the spotlight. I think he embraces it. I think he enjoys it.
okay.
The issue with him is he's not very durable. He breaks his hands a lot.
Right.
He doesn't absorb contact.
Yeah.
Like well. So if I'm Cowboy, this is the fight to be aggressive. Come out and hit Pettis with some heavy kicks, heavy tight knees, and get in there, make it a grind. Because I think Pettis, he didn't like to grind. He don't like those grind them out fights. He likes to do the play in space, just like the one-on-one fight. Those are the fights that Pettis he does the best in, because those are guys that's going to play his game, the distance game, who can be flashier game. Cowboys should do the opposite of that. Let's not be flashy. Let's be gritty. Use your wrestling. Get him up against the cage. Go like Randy Couture style. Get him up against the cage. Don't allow him to be athletic. Because I think Pettis is the more athletic guy. If you let him be athletic, he's gonna beat you just on athleticism.
Right. Interesting. I mean, worth it, the plus 118 to take the upset here on Cowboy, or you're hesitant?
No, I'm gonna go Pettis.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Pettis. I believe he's gonna come out and he's gonna be able to just be faster and land stuff.
Well, we just went through like basically 5 main events with this insane card.
Yeah.
Any other ones that we haven't mentioned that have your attention peak that you're excited to watch? Any fights you say like, hey, I really see an upset going down here?
Honestly, I can't remember any of the other.
Stevens, Calvin Kattar, that interests you at all with the featherweights?
Oh, I would go Qatar. I think he's the more technical guy.
Okay. I love it. I love that Blaydes is taking sides here, and not staying on the fence, giving us real opinions here. He's not holding back. All right. Well, Blaydes, you're our guy here at DNVR. We got the whole company rallied around you. When are we going to see you back out there?
I'm scheduled to fight June the 20th, but that was in Saskatchewan, Canada. So I don't know if the borders are open, or I don't know what's going on with that. So I guess we'll see. TBD, I guess.
Was that going to be the main event on a fight night?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Dude, and then after Volkov, who knows? Gotta get these
what happens this weekend.
Yeah. Oof. Oh,
It's
man. Exciting. Yeah, big time. All right.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. We're all big Blaydes fans here, and we're pulling for you, and we really appreciate you coming on today. And I got to tell you, my card is going to be your card. I'm going with I'm taking your advice for all straight through.
How could you not? Beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
All right, Blaydes. We will talk to you soon, and good luck with all your training, man.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
that.
Curtis.
You guys have a good day.
You too, man. All right. That was Curtis Blaydes, and man, what a guy. I couldn't believe how succinct he was, how, like I mentioned in there, he didn't ride the fence at all. He gave real, honest, genuine takes, and I'll just say personally, dealing with athletes and scheduling things with athletes and doing interviews with athletes when it's not at the facility is usually never easy. Not on time, not willing to do it, not this, not that. Blaydes, we reached out to him. We got an answer quickly. We set a time. He was there at the exact time. Then on top of it, he gives us great answers, great insight, doesn't give us, quote unquote, coach speak or player speak or any of that. And I just have to say, I'm so appreciative of Blaydes for being that way.
Absolutely. I mean, for a superstar athlete like he is, what a humble guy, and just sharing his opinions, amazing insights too, not afraid to go with the upsets and what have you, not go in shock. I mean, it was just incredible to have him on to talk about this big fight night.
Well, like I mentioned, my card is his card. So I believe we have a graphic here of documenting his picks. There they are. Justin Gaethje, Henry Cejudo, Jorgen De
Yeah.
Castro, Anthony Pettis, and then he also took that the
Yeah.
featherweight that you mentioned. Who was that?
Yeah, that's Calvin Kattar against Jeremy Stevens. And then there was another interesting bet. Oh, yeah. So I pressed him. So we are rooting for Jairzinho Rosenstrike against Francis Ngannou, but that is not a Blaydes pick. He did not go that far because Francis Ngannou is obviously a phenom. But when I pressed him, do you like the under 1.5 rounds on that fight? He said, yeah. And that was 125 when we did that yesterday. I'm trying to find.
Yeah, it was.
I'm trying to find what that is now because that's another really nice pick there.
Yeah, it's funny. He wants Rosenstrike, and then he essentially said, but yeah, he's gonna get dropped in under 1.5 rounds. Also, It's kind of weird. When you're betting on 1.5 rounds in UFC,
I know.
like a half round is a real thing. I assume it's just anything less than 2, but it's a little bit weird to press that because you're like, what if it's 2/3 of the way through the second round?
Well, that's 2/3, baby. And I also think if you're betting on Gaethje, that's one of those where you might want to hit if you're feeling real confident and you want to double down. I would hit the under 1.5 rounds on that Gaethje bet as well. If Gaethje's to win, it's probably in that 1 to 1.5 range. If Ferguson wins, I see it more in that 2 to 3 round range. I keep trying to talk myself into taking the like plus 560 on Cejudo Cruz, not going the distance, and then re-listening to Blaydes' advice. I'm not doing that.
Wow. I mean,
there's some add-ons there.
It feels so juicy.
Oh, I know. Like,
because you're like, what if he just gets him in a headlock or whatever?
Right. Like sometimes guys like kind of slip or fall or a knee goes out and, Cruz has had a ton of knee injuries. What if his knee goes out and, Cejudo just jumps on him, starts ground and pounding, and it's a TKO, they end the fight. Plus 560. I mean,
it's so easy to talk yourself into these. Yeah. It's like the Super Bowl props where you're like, wow, like Patrick Mahomes' rushing touchdown is really plus 1,200. Like, right. I could see them getting down to the 1 and just sneaking it in.
Right. They could do it.
It's so easy. The higher the juice gets, the easier it is to talk yourself into it.
You're kidding me.
Okay, let's bring up the Blaydes picks one more time, just for the people who are trying to write these down at home. So here is the picks. If you're like me, you're gonna ride with Blaydes, build a card around what he has to say. Then there was the 2 more that Andre mentioned. That was the Rosenstrike fight under 1.5. Mm-hmm. And then what was the other one, Dre?
Yeah, if you're really confident about Gaethje, take the under 1.5.
And then the featherweight
as well. And then, Calvin Kattar to win against Jeremy Stevens. That was another unofficial Blaydes pick. And then if you really are feeling ambitious, take the Cejudo Cruz not to go to distance at plus 560.
All right. Are you putting your name on that one?
On the not going the distance?
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think I can.
Okay. All right. So are you with me on just going with Blaydes? Those are our picks for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going chalk and I'm adding those 2 under 1.5s. Because why not? Like YOLO.
All right. There it is. And I loved what he had to say about the Hardy stuff too.
Oh,
really interesting. I mean, I think if you're like me or most football fans or just most people who are socially aware, you're probably rooting against Hardy. So I'm excited that he picked against him, and I'm excited to lay a little bit down on his opponent.
If you want to feel even better, this DeCastro guy is a guy who kind of came up through the new version of Ultimate Fighter. He's a girl dad, really nice cat, but he's also a big dude and knocks fools out and can move really well for a big guy. So he's a fun fighter to watch. So yeah, DeCastro is easy to root for, especially against Hardy.
And he's the Jokic of the UFC, as we found out.
I guess so.
That's all right. That one is the one I'm going to be most invested in. I want that one bad. I want that one real bad. Okay, so there it is. I think as we track our records here, do you want to count those, or do we just say those were Blaydes? We rode with him, and we'll track Blaydes' record on Monday. Let's do it that way.
Okay.
I'll be the decision maker here. Yeah, that interview was so good. I finished my whole glass of wine.
I know. I finished my strawberry sky as well.
All right. Before we get out of here, we got KBO picks. Hopefully my phone doesn't die here because we're running low. So I've built a little bit of a strategy here. I love, we're calling it the KT over now because overs are very popular here. But I got to be honest, I don't trust 4 of these teams that are playing each other. I don't trust the Tigers. I don't trust the Lions. I don't trust the Eagles. And I don't trust the Heroes. So there's 3 teams that are really, or 3 matchups here that I think are really primed to put up some numbers. And as you mentioned, the KBO has upped the number. They haven't just sat there like they did yesterday that we tried to take advantage of and went 3 out of 5. So we learned yesterday not to trust those 4 teams. And I still think Doosan and KT Wiz is going over. I think LG Twins and the Dinos are going over. And I think SK Wyverns and Lotte Giants are going over. So those are my picks for the night. I think that the Twins are going to win, but that's just my heart speaking. I think the Dinos are due to lose a game here. But those are my 3 picks, are the overs on those 3 games.
I'll take the over on Twins Dinos, and I'll take the overs on I'm gonna follow your strategy. I want the 1.5 round unders counted as my picks too. So I have 2 of those. And then special this weekend brought to you. Go to the A through Z sports section of your DraftKings app.
Oh Lord above. What are we going here?
Let's scroll down to soccer and Faroe Islands for me. And
what are you doing?
Here we have some phenomenal picks. This is the highest scoring of the Scandinavian soccer leagues. They average 3.2 goals per game. I've read up on all the stats. The big discussion is, will they be high-scoring games early in the season or low-scoring games? Will the rush show itself more on offense or defense? And I'm kind of hedging my bets by taking the under 2.5 goals with the AB Ajir versus Vikingur Gotha. So that's under 2.5 on that one.
You got to tell us this before so we can get a graphic so people know what the hell you're talking about.
That's true. I'm sorry. I wanted to surprise you. I'm also taking the over on KL Klavikson against B36. The over 2.5. That's a -155. I'm also taking both teams to score in that game at -1.9. Ryan, these are high-scoring teams in the Faroe Islands Soccer League. Both teams to score at 190 is a nice bet. And finally, in the upset of the weekend, I'm taking bottom feeder EB Seymour. Oh, no. The Giant Slayers, have they been told to me.
Oh, I lost you there for a second. Okay. Killed by a buzz.
I'm the Giant Slayers, EB Seymour. They're going against the top 4 team. There's not a lot of parity in this league, but still, I'm taking them to tie. For them to tie, for this crappy Faroe Islands league to tie, is a +700. So that's my upset of the weekend, I guess.
No one was able to follow any of that. I'm going to need you to write it down.
Tweet it out.
Tweet it out. I cannot believe we've really lost you here. We really lost Andre.
Yes, I
Okay.
legit had a friend talking me off a ledge today and telling me not to take the upset from E.B. Seymour. That was a plus 1,200 and just take the tie. So that's what I'm doing.
Can you spell Faroe Islands for me? It's not PHAR like pharaohs in
No.
Egypt, is it?
No, it's an Faroe, and then islands.
Tell me more. Where is the Faroe Islands?
I guess in Northern Europe, but I'm not quite. That part of geography class slips my mind.
You know what? I want, in the interest of information, I want the people to know where this island that they're betting on is.
And I just want to say, next weekend we have German soccer, so it's gonna start to get a little less absurd with the weekend picks soon enough. But
all right, here's what I've got for us so far. The Faroe Islands is a self-governing archipelago, part of the Kingdom of Denmark.
There you go.
It compromises 18 rocky volcanic islands between Iceland and Norway in the North Atlantic Ocean, connected by road tunnels, ferries, causeways, and bridges. Hikers and bird watchers, are drawn to the island's mountains, valleys, and grassy heathland and steep coastal cliffs that harbor thousands of seabirds. And of course, the capital is Tórshavn. I think you mentioned them earlier.
Possible. Who knows?
And so there you go. There are the Faroe Islands. I highly recommend Googling it and just hitting the images because, goodness gracious, we really have a beautiful country here. I mean,
we've discovered another part of the world. Isn't this great? Just the DNVR bets bringing the world together.
Look at that. Look at the Faroe Islands.
Wow,
just an gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful place.
That's
so
gorgeous.
There you go.
Nice.
Hop in on it. And I will not. I trust you so much. I'm not getting in on Faroe Island soccer.
Okay, I love it. Good.
So there we go. That is going to wrap it up for us this week on DNVR Bets Daily, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And as I mentioned yesterday, this is a lot of fun. We love to have a lot of fun with it. But if for some reason you feel like you've gone a little too far with gambling and you're having trouble getting out of the hole, call 1-800-522-4700 and hopefully they can provide you some help. But that's going to do it for us this week. I cannot wait for this UFC slate. I think Blaydes is just going to knock it out of the park, and we're going to come back and say we owe him some money on Monday. So excited for that. Excited for the weekend, and we thank you all for tuning in on the very first week of DNVR Bets Daily. We can't wait to keep this baby rolling. So thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.